The holiday season is upon us, and you might be trying to figure out what type of gift to give your filmmaking loved one. Well, I'm going to help you find the best one. Hey guys, Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker here, where I try to condense everything you need to know into one small video so you can get on your way. It's that time of the year again, so I'm going to break down 4 different tiers of holiday gift ideas. I'll give you a brief description so you know if the gift is right for you. And of course, I'll have everything I talked about linked in the description down below so you know where to purchase it. Other than that, let's get started. In the stocking stuffers category, the first one are these bungee ties. Now they're very small, but they're extremely useful because sometimes you might have wires laying all around. You can use it to affix it to a light stand. But the biggest one is for lights. Sometimes lights have these big, huge honkin' power bricks and they don't necessarily reach all the way to the ground. So what you would do is use these bungee ties and affix it to a light stand, making it nice and out of the way. You can even use it to hold stuff like LED tubes in very unique ways. Next, we have a simple lens cleaning kit. All cameras use optics, and these optics could either get fingerprint smudges or dust. Basically, you have a brush, you got an air blower, you even have a microfiber cloth, and some of them do come with a cleaning solution. That way the optics stay nice and clean so we can get a nice sharp image. The last one in this category is the pop-up gray card. Now, all cameras need to understand what the color temperature of lights is either in the room or outside. If you tell it the wrong color, your colors are not going to look right like this. With a gray card and white card, basically, you're going to be able to do a custom white balance to let the camera know exactly what's going on, and therefore you'll be able to get nice colors like this. The next category is the small gifts category, and we're going to start off with this multi-tool made by SmallRig. Essentially, they have taken a Phillips head, a flat head, a couple different Allen wrench sizes and put it all into one, making it very easy and less cumbersome to take with you on a film set. Next up is a heavy-duty light stand. Some lights, they might actually come with a light stand, but they're not very strong. So having a heavier duty light stand is definitely going to help because sometimes they're going to take a light and they're going to put this huge softbox on it, and they're going to want to have a light stand that's able to handle all that weight. Last one in this category is the 5-in-1 reflector. Easily the most versatile piece of kit that any content creator or filmmaker needs. So essentially what this does is it reflects light. And there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. There's a white side, as you can see here. There's even a gold side. And if you flip it inside out, they have a black side as well as a silver side. All have different effects when it comes to light hitting it and bouncing back at your face. But the most fun one is the diffusion inside the middle. If you take off the cover, you can see that the sun is really blowing my face out, but if I put it above the sun and let the sun shine through the diffusion, now we have a very pleasing soft light. All right, let's move on to the main gift category, the big ones. The first one I want to talk about is the Pelican 1510 case. Now this specific case is waterproof, crush proof. Not only that, the dimensions of this case is approved for carry-ons on flights. So if your filmmaker is going to be traveling with their gear, this is going to be much easier for them to get on the plane and make sure their gear is nice and safe. Next one up is something called a C-stand, which is a different type of heavy-duty light stand. What's unique about this light stand is the fact that the legs are low to the ground and they don't take up a lot of room. It's designed this way so that you can use sandbags to weigh down the light stand. That way, when you're in a small room like this and you're trying to boom a light over, it's not going to tip over. The next gift is one of the 2 main things that are super important to a content creator, which is audio. Everything you're hearing right now is nice and clean and clear, and that's very important. So if your loved one does not have anything in the audio department yet, the first thing I would suggest you purchase for them is the Rode Wireless Go 2, which is a wireless audio kit, and it's got 2 microphones, which is awesome. Basically, they're able to clip it onto their shirt and use the built-in microphone if they want to, or they can purchase an additional wired lavalier kit and use it like a traditional wireless audio set. One of the big reasons why I'm suggesting this specific kit is because the body transmitter pack has a built-in safety feature where it's constantly recording whatever is happening, which means if for some odd reason the wireless signal gets distorted and the camera is no longer getting an audio feed, well, you have a backup safety recording that they can take into their editing software and be able to use it to cover up the parts where the wireless signal gets distorted. This is extremely useful and definitely pretty much production saving for a filmmaker. The final thing that's really important for a filmmaker is lights. We need lights so that the camera can actually see. I'm going to give you two different options here. The first one is the Amaran 60 Bicolor, or the 60X. And basically, this is a small, compact, portable 60-watt class cob LED that can be battery operated, but its main job is it can do daylight colors all the way to tungsten colors. And essentially, tungsten is kind of like that warm light bulb that you see usually indoors, and then the bright daylight color is what you would see at like a department store where everything is super bright. So this light can go between the two, which is extremely useful for a filmmaker because they might be in different lighting situations. Not only that, the 60-watt class cob LED is more than powerful enough for indoor setups like this or more controlled commercial setups. You don't necessarily need to go much higher than this for most people, and if your filmmaking loved one doesn't have a light yet, this is a great starting point. The next one is the Amaran P60C, which is an LED panel style. It's a little bit different than the cob style, but they more or less serve the same purpose, just different types of ways of setting it up. But this specific one is much more powerful than the 60X I just talked about, and it also has RGB, which means you can choose a whole bunch of different colors. So if your filmmaking loved one is doing like a bunch of narrative, very action style films, well, having this RGB is going to be very useful for them depending on their scene. And of course, this panel does have battery capabilities, so it's also extremely portable. All right, so your loved one has been super good this year and you really want to get them a very big gift. So here are some ideas as well as some situations to kind of give you an idea if it's going to be right for them. So let's say they've primarily been using their smartphone for content creation. Maybe it's time to give them an actual camera. Now, if they are just kind of doing YouTube like you see me doing here, maybe they're vlogging, they're not doing narrative films, then I would suggest none other than the Sony ZV-1. In fact, everything you've been seeing in this video up to that last shot I just showed you has been shot with the ZV-1. So now you get an idea of what it can actually do. It's not that expensive, and it's very powerful for the vlogger or YouTuber. Now, if your filmmaking loved one has said that they're really wanting to get into commercial work or maybe narrative film works like action and drama, and they still don't have a camera yet, well, there's one camera. It's old, but it's still extremely powerful and still extremely relevant today. And that camera is none other than the Panasonic GH5. Now, you can still find these new and used for a very good price that's not going to break the bank. But the major thing is there's a lot of features that professional filmmakers really like to use in these cameras. They have more advanced exposure tools. They also have the ability to shoot 10-bit color space, which is really, really useful when you're starting to push colors around and trying to get that really cinematic color look. And not only that, a lot of lens companies are starting to make anamorphic lenses, and this is one of the few cameras at this price point that allows you to shoot in anamorphic modes. So when it comes down to it, I still personally use this camera today. I haven't gotten rid of it because of how versatile it actually is. In fact, I've shot major feature films with this, independent of course, but it looks great as you can see here. The final gift idea I have for you is a computer. So if your filmmaking loved one already has all the stuff they need, but they need a more powerful computer because their old one is too slow, this computer is relatively cheap for how powerful it actually is. And I'm talking none other than the Apple M1 series, specifically with 16 gigabytes. For the last 2 years, I've been using this specific chipset for YouTube work, client work, doing some short films, editing, everything. And it still amazes me how powerful it is for how much you're paying for. Now, I'm specifically using the M1 MacBook Air, which is a little laptop, and it's perfect because it's really cheap and it allows me to go on set, do a couple edits, and show a client right there, right away, what it's going to look like. That's awesome. But when I come home, I simply plug it into my TV and I'm able to use it as a traditional desktop. Now, if you don't want a laptop specifically, there's two other versions you can get. There's the iMac version, which is going to be like your standard all-in-one computer system. But maybe your loved one already has a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse, in which case you can get them the Mac Mini, which is just a small desktop version. And hey, that is the end of this video. I hope these ideas have been helpful. Again, I have everything linked down below so you know where to purchase them. And of course, if you have any questions or comments on any of the things I've talked about, then go ahead and leave it down below. I will get to them as fast as I can. Other than that, this has been TLDR Filmmaker. Happy holidays, and I'll see you guys in the next one.